Me and my group members are going to present mini project SAD. Our group members are Priyadarshini Ilangovan, Tharshini Parthiban, and myself Karen Celia Simon. Introduction. The primary goal of this report is to illustrate to our firm what is system interface flow, input technology use, validation check, system testing, and system changeover entails. We also anticipated the necessity to explain to our organization certain alignment of the system design, development, and support. System design, system interface flow for, for process checking. This is the company name. Employee ID referred to text box. Department referred to radio button. Home profile help setting referred to menu bar. This general information referred to drop down list. This date referred to calendar control. Explanation. While designing an interface, integrating interface, alignment is a consistent, clear, and consistent manner. In our design, we employ a text box, radio button, menu bar, drop-down list box, calendar control, and dialog box as interface alignments. A menu bar is a horizontal bar on the screen that displays the key menu items, as we all know. A rectangular frame on the screen that displays message or allow a user to submit data is known as a text box. The drop-down list box allows user to select one item at a time, and the radio button allows user to select only one option. A calendar control allows the user to select a date that will be used by the system as field value. The dialog box, last but not least, allow a user to provide information about a task that will be performed out by the system. Input technology apply for process checking. Input technology refers to the data that a user enters into a computer device. A user can demonstrate this by pressing a key on a keyboard, selecting anything on the screen with a mouse, or speaking into a microphone. Some input direct the action of the computer, while others offer data for it to process. For our interface, the most important input method is a keyboard and mouse. As we all know, user can enter information into the interface via the keyboard. A mouse is pointing device that gather information from the user movements. After that, it's turned the mechanical movement into a computer readable format. Using the mouse, customer can set any option or menu they want to see. The next presenter will be Priyadarshini Langovan.
My name is Priyadarshini Ilangovan and I'll be continuing the presentation with validation check for process check-in, employee view. Explanation. Validation is a computer check that guarantees that the data entered is accurate and logical. In our system, we use field, pattern matching, and numeric validation. To ensure that users gave accurate data, field validation was used information in the correct manner and that the data provided was accurate. We then use pattern matching validation to validate our interface. This check verifies the information whether the data entered by the users follow as predetermined pattern. In the fifth interface, for example, we have email address, for example, that have been pattern checked. Checks that match finally. Finally, we implemented numeric validation in our user interface. It checks whether data entered in a field or text box has a numeric value. For example, phone number. Users can only enter numbers in the space given, in the text box given. So it's under numeric validation. In this email, users can only type their email address, employee name. There will be no numeric numbers in employee name. So this is known as field validation. Input mask and validation rules. Explanation. Sequence check, existence check, data type check, range check, reasonableness check, validity check, combination check, and batch controls are the 8 validation rules. By evaluating data and rejecting any entry that does not meet specific requirement, a data validation rule enhances input quality. Our user interface includes sequence check, range check, and data type check. A sequence check was used when the data has to be in a specific order. If the user must enter work order in numerical order and out of sequence order number, for example, indicates an error. If the user must record transaction in order, a transaction containing out of sequence data signals an error. Then we introduce a range check validation rule to our interface. It used to ensure that a data item's data type is correct. An alphabetical field, for example, can only include the letter A through Z or the letters A through capital A through Z or small a through Z, but a numerical field can only hold numbers or numeric symbols. Last but not least, data type check validation was also implemented. The data type check validation rule checks that the data value are within specific minimum and maximum range. For example, an employee's daily working hours must be between 0 and 24 hours. User system manual. Before employee can access the Pearson Inspector.company system, they must first learn how to use it. The following is the procedure for logging into the system. First, employee must key in employee's ID. First, the user have to choose whether they are in admin or employee. If they are an employee, the employee have to choose, the employee must fill up employee ID, which is the ID given by the company, employee's name, and which department are they from, and their phone number. When they click login, and they have to click login. As stated, first admin or employee need to open the system. Then if an administrator open the system, the administrator must select the admin button to log in. If an employee opens the system, the employee must select the employment button to log in. After selecting the employee button, employee must input their employee ID. It is necessary to provide this information. The system displays you entered the wrong ID when an employee enters their wrong ID incorrectly. The employee must then type their name in capital letter in the box labeled employee name. The system rejects an employee's name typed in small letters and displays. Enter your name in capital letter. Employee must then select which department they worked in the department section, which can be security, software, or network. They are only allowed to choose one department at a time. Employee must then input their phone number in the phone number section without any unusual character. The system displays the notification, enter phone number correctly whenever an employee enters specific character. After finishing enter details, employee can click login button to go next. This is the next page after the employee clicked the login button. Then successfully, employee can access their profile. Employee can now access their personal information. If an employee wants to know their personal information, there is a general drop-down box to choose from. After clicking the arrow, 4 options will appear, which is check-in and check-out information, salary information, attendance information, and leave application form. Each with information about the employee. They have complete control over what they have viewed. After selecting an option, employee can go to the next page by clicking the next button. For example, if the employee click check-in and check-out information.
Okay, I'm Darshini. So now I'm going to continue on step 12. So step 12 is stated that, for example, if an employee selects the check-in and check-out information option, a calendar control
to select a date appears. Step 13, to proceed, the employee can select a date and click the next button. If the employee wants to return to the previous page, they can use the back button. Next is this is the interface for it. And next, step 14, the system prints out the check-in and check-out information report to the employee. Next is, for this page, the employee must state the reason for the warning statement. Next, the employee must first input his or her email address. The email address must be properly entered, otherwise the system will reject the incorrect email format and prompt you to enter an email address. Next is step 17. The employee can then provide the reason in the reason text box. Next, after that, the employee must upload a proof of reason stated above, or the system will reject the reason. Next, finally, the employee can submit their reason by clicking the submit button, and the system will display a message box indicating your submission is success. Next is system implementation and support, system testing. So unit testing for the test case 1, which is process staff registration and guest registration. So the test case number is TC1, the testing type is unit testing, and our process name is staff registration and guest registration, and the process description is administrators will update the access control system with information on staff and visitors. Next is user view type is administrator, and this will be tested by DSK Achievers, which is edX. And our input is staff and guest information, staff and guest ID. And expected output is it will show the staff and guest registration information, and also generates the staff's ID, scan or fingerprint. The actual output that display is display guest and staff details. And the test result, passed or fail, it will both is pass. Next is integration testing for test case 2, which is process department security. Our test case number is TC2, and our testing type is integration testing, and our process name is department security, and the description is user information will be stored in the department's security system. And the user view type is department, and this will be tested by TPK, which is analyze of systems. And our input is users data, and expected output will be it will generate user data for department security, and our actual output that display is user data is printed in the department security, and our test result whether it's pass or fail. So in this testing, integration testing, it pass. Next is system changeover. The explanation is the option we choose is phase operation. This phase operation was chosen because it will evenly share a portion of the system to all the users. Second, the risk of causes of failures to the implemented module is smaller when compared to the parallel and direct cutover operations, because pilot operation is similar to the phase operation. It is not described here. Furthermore, the costs are lower than they will be if the system ran in total parallel. Finally, if the system cannot be simply broken down into logical modules or segments, it is unusable. Next is types of maintenance that you wish to perform. The explanation is adaptive maintenance is the appropriate type of maintenance that we selected to conduct. We chose this since it improves an operating system while also making it easier to utilize. We also chose preventive maintenance because it aids in prevention of problems. Preventive maintenance necessary an examination of areas where the problems are likely to emerge. Preventive maintenance can also lead to the higher user satisfaction and less downtime. Next is, finally, our conclusion is this report explains the system interface flow and input technology application, validation check, system testing, and system changeover for our company. Each aspect of the system design, implementation, and support to our company must be described in detail. Finally, the system interface flow, input technology application, validation check, system testing, and system changeover processes at our company were all are very visible. Aside from that, we have a system transition strategy in place that will increase inventory rotation through a pilot operation. And that's all from me and our team. Thank you.